Welcome to a video from digital-lifestyle.com. This is the second part of a video looking at the Korg Modwave. Korg Modwave is a really deep synth. There's loads of things you can do, wavetables, crossfading, motion sequencing and all sorts. In the previous video I looked at how you can use the wavetables and how you can modulate them using the mod effects and how powerful that can be. In this video we're going to have a look at how you can use samples, look at motion sequencing, what you can do with that as well. So we've done some good stuff with, you've seen the previous video, we've done with wavetables, morphing and all that kind of thing, but actually in this synth are loads of samples that you can use yourself. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back to the patch and create an empty sound. There we go, we've got an empty sound on there, and we were looking at wavetables like with this modulation and everything else, but we're going to go away from that, go to single oscillator mode for now. Just go to sample, go to choose sample, and you can see a huge array of samples are in here. A lot of these, with the WS especially, are from the Korg Wave Station, the 1990 I think it was Korg Wave Station, so you may recognize some of these. If you've got a wave station, you recognise those waveforms. Doesn't do wave sequencing, that's the wave state that does that, but the waveforms are in there. Some of them are really useful, some of them are a bit basic, let's say. But I'm going to show there are some really interesting ones on here. So effectively what you can do, you can turn this amazingly modulation rich synth into a basic synth. So you can put say a piano sound on there. So if I go to piano, you may recognise this one, the M1 Piano. There we go, we've got a basic M1 Piano on there. And of course we've got two oscillators, so we can turn that one down and I can use a different sample. Obviously you can combine it with the waveforms, you don't have to use just samples, but I can combine that with, let's say, with a bit of electric piano, and we'll go VPM, so from Korg. So there's the VPM sample, and so we've got those two samples. Now all this is going through the filter, which you can choose all the different type of filters. So it sounds quite good with the piano. You can choose control piano, you got resonance. And of course you can use all the normal modulation. And you've got the same effects, so I can put compressor on there. In fact, we'll look at effects probably in the second video, but let's stick them all on. Let's get a bit of ambience on this. Let's turn that filter off actually. Oh, they got quite. So there you go, you can build up these layers, and there's some greats in there. Some of these are actually really good. Perhaps I'm going to go back to the other oscillator, and I'm going to choose, yeah, you've got guitar, scratch noise, you've got ghost sounds. So the guitar patches, you've got all those on there, but there are tons of these you can choose from. You can see, as well as the traditional pianos, so you can combine a wave station piano with an acoustics type one. All these, as well as them are still, all these are still going through the envelopes as well. So we have got the amp envelope, which on a piano isn't going to do that much because it's already sort of got the envelope, but you can. But when you've got a sustained sound like this, this actually can sound quite good. And I could whack up the envelope. And you can get a bit of morphing. I can use ring modulation on these. So oscillator 1 is morphing oscillator 2, and AM morphing. And of course you could have the same sample and you can slightly detune one from the other, that all the usual tricks you can do, but you see there are so many to choose from in here. Some of the Mellotron ones actually sound pretty good. Here's the in fact, I think I've got a few that I've already created on here. Here is flutes and brass. If I remember rightly, I've got using the mod controls, I can control the balance that out. And here's the Genesis Watch of the Sky sound. And the vocal one. So, and these are just using, you can see I'm using the R's and the U's for that, but you could use any of these waveforms. So it's really is good. And there's percussions, there's drums on here, there's drum kits on here as well. And you can combine these into your own sounds, and like I said, you can still run through the filters, the effects, the envelopes, and everything else. Now what you can also do, and I'll show you how to do this in a separate video, perhaps the next one, is bring your own samples in. There's only a few steps you need to do with it, but I'll show you how to do that. But just to give you an idea, these are samples from Fairlight, which you can get on the internet. I downloaded them, installed them, and you recognise some of the standard ones like that. And even this one is from Peter Gabriel's collection, and that's from Intruder. So you can see, so you can bring them in yourself and use them in your own patches. You need to use the sample builder. We'll look at that in a separate video. So there you go. Samples, really powerful. Now the other thing I want to show in this video is the motion sequencer. For that I'm going to switch back to using waveforms, because you can do a bit more with the motion sequencer and waveforms. So I'm going to go with a, here we go, let's try this electric piano. Okay, go to the motion sequencer, and we've got 4 lanes to modify these sounds as they're playing. We can also pitch, and the lanes have got timing controls and shape. Easiest way is to go to the Modwave, press record, choose your lane. I'm going to do pitch. I'm going to choose my root note as C4, and then I'm going to go C, E flat, F, G, B flat, C, and then back down. Okay, so now if I press the note, you can see it runs that sequence. Now here it fades away. It's because the envelope of the electric piano fades away. It's not a traditional style sequencer. We're just modifying the pitch. This is why it works better with waveforms than it does with samples, because you're not re-triggering the samples. You can't re-trigger the samples, so you couldn't use this for, like, say, making a drum kit or a drum pattern. So there's a few different things we can do with this now. We can re-trigger envelopes from this, and we can alter the. I'm going to bring the cutoff down. We can't hear that, and I'm going to change the cutoff to be affected by lane A, the sequence lane. Now I can do it manually, or I can record it, but I'm going to do it manually. So I'm going to start off with it high. I'm going to go down, then up, and down, then use some random values. And I can alter the length of this as well. They can be independent, so let's just stick with that for now. So you can see it there. So it's not opening the envelope up, the amp envelope. So let's make the amp envelope triggered by the step pulse. So every time it does a step, it does it. There we go. Now what we can choose, instead of being linear, we can actually make it, so instead of ramping up to each value, we can make it actually be the value. There we go. Now the other thing I can do now, I'm going to stick an extra, I'm going to match these up for now, but with extra step in there, and that one I'm going to make a very quick step to give it a bit of randomness. Let's do two of them like that. And I could choose that one, I can make it its probability less, so it doesn't always do it. Now in lane B, I'm gonna record lane B, sequence B, and I'm gonna use the resonance. There we go. Now these are, the notes are individual syncs if you listen. They're in where I put, but I can sync them. So it does give you the opportunity to create some interesting effects. Maybe let's have a look at this one. So this one, no pitch, but I'm using the sequencer to affect the cutoff, and I think it's on the resonance. No, using the filter is being on layer B, and I think layer A is using the amp. But I could also, if I go into the envelopes, make the filter envelope very quick, sharp pulse. Turn the intensity up and that down. And I'm going to lower that down. There you can see it's triggered by step A, but I could trigger it by the pulse. So you can see you can use it for all these kind of things, and the sequence can affect other aspects as well. You could even get some things like a double. You can change the shape, so I can change it. I quite like the double punch, or the double one, which gives you that double trigger effect. I think it's this one, yeah. So that sounds like I'm trying to get sort of the effect of a modular sequence. And you can see I'm using the shape to have different effects on the notes as well. So, and if I perhaps have the, let's have a look what's triggering the envelope, it's pulse. If I change it to say A, A is affected by these pulses. So it's really effective, and there's so much you can do with that. It's a very powerful tool, and you can use it for things that you can't quite do with LFOs and everything else. So it's not just for musical sequences like that. You can just use it to add effects to existing patches and things, just to create a bit of evolving sound. You could just have the, I think I've got one here. Yeah, so you can create something like that, or you can just use it to maybe modify a waveform slightly. So I've got a bell sound, and I could record layer A and alter the position. So like that. So you've got so much you can do with it. Again, like everything else with Modwave, I suggest you just get into it, start playing with it, and you can see, record it, play it, and test it on here. And of course, this is on the virtual version, the native version, Modwave native. So I'm using the hardware one, but you can alter it. But you can do things like alter the attack velocity of an envelope using the sequencer. So your filter envelope can be changed over time. So it's very clever, and it's a really good thing. The only thing the limitation I found, you can't re-trigger samples. So if I go to, say, a Fairlight sample, you can hear the looping on that one. But if I'm using the sequencer, I couldn't re-trigger this sample to play again. This is probably not a good example. Something like a drum sound. I couldn't hold the note down in the sequencer effect that even if I re-trigger the envelopes, because the sample doesn't re-trigger, so you can't do that at the moment. Hopefully Korg can address that. A pad and the arpeggiator. There's the arpeggiator. You can choose a gate. And you can have some swing. And you can choose the resolution. And then you can apply some motion sequencing to that as well, but it re-triggers the note each time. So it's like you play the note each time. Okay, that's what I'm going to go through for now. In the next video, I'm going to look at how you can import your own samples and import your own wavetables. And then in future videos, we'll look at some of the things like the effects and things like that, and the other filter options as well. So thanks for watching this video. You can find out more on thedigitalifestyle.com.